When you hug a woman, it's never just physical. It activates something beneath the surface. Her body begins to scan you before her mind even catches up. She isn't consciously thinking about trust or danger, but her nervous system is already making a decision. That decision isn't based on your appearance, your words, or how long you've known each other. It's based on how present you are in that moment, how honest your energy feels, how still you are inside. For many men, a hug is a step toward intimacy. For many women, it's the moment she decides whether she can relax or if she needs to armor up. You might think you're sharing affection. What she often feels is a test of whether your presence can hold the weight of who she is, without requiring her to shrink. Most people don't realize how much memory lives in the body. She doesn't need to recall past relationships or childhood moments for them to influence her. They live in how tightly she holds herself, how quickly she pulls away, whether she allows her weight to rest into you or stays braced and careful. These are not choices. They are reflexes shaped by what she survived. The way you hold her is read instantly. Are you trying to possess her, impress her, get something from her, or are you fully present without an agenda? Most women won't explain this to you. They may not even articulate it to themselves, but their bodies know the difference between being held and being used. If you think you're close because your arms are around her, you've misunderstood what intimacy is. Physical closeness means nothing when emotional distance fills the space between. A woman doesn't soften because someone touched her. She softens when she feels no pressure to perform, when she feels your awareness steady and undemanding, when she senses that your attention is not tied to an outcome. The real question isn't how she reacts. It's who you are when you initiate contact. Have you done the inner work to sit with discomfort, yours and hers? Do you know how to be with someone without needing to fix them, reassure them, or prove something? That is what she's feeling for, whether she realizes it or not. If your hug is filled with insecurity, urgency, or the need to be validated, she will absorb it. Her body will tense without explanation. She might smile and say nothing, but inside, a door will close, not out of malice, out of instinct. Women are not mysterious creatures. They are deeply attuned systems of emotional intelligence. Their emotional memory responds to how you show up, not how you present yourself. You can say all the right things and still be felt as a threat if your presence isn't rooted in emotional clarity. When you hug her, you are being evaluated, not in a strategic or manipulative way, but in a primal one. The female body has evolved to recognize whether an embrace offers safety or requires self-protection. That decision is made in seconds, long before logic enters the picture. This is why many women are cautious with affection, why they hesitate to lean into you even if they like you. The hesitation often has nothing to do with you personally, and everything to do with the parts of themselves that were not respected before. You are not only engaging with her, you are brushing up against the parts of her that were once betrayed. You're not just touching her skin. You're communicating with her history. The men who rushed, who pressured, who turned affection into obligation, those men left behind echoes that still shape how she responds to you. And if you're not aware of that, you might mistake her guardedness for disinterest. A woman does not open up simply because you're kind or charismatic. She opens when she senses your stillness is real, not rehearsed, not calculated, real. That kind of presence doesn't come from trying to be impressive. It comes from having faced your own pain, sat with your own confusion, and chosen not to hide from it. If you've never done that, your touch will feel hollow to her. Even if your intentions are good, she won't know why it feels off. She may not say anything, but her intuition will withdraw. Men often ask why women pull away after moments of closeness. They rarely consider how inconsistent their own presence is. A woman can tell when your attention flickers, when your mind is somewhere else, when your need for affection outweighs your ability to be grounded. She may not voice it, but she will feel it, and once she feels it, she will remember it. The hug itself doesn't matter. What matters is whether you meant it, whether you were fully in it, or just going through the motions to get to the next thing. This is why real intimacy starts with emotional responsibility. If you haven't become honest with yourself, you can't offer honesty to her. If you haven't faced your fear of rejection or your discomfort with vulnerability, your touch will carry those fears forward, and she will feel them even if she doesn't understand them. What creates connection is not technique, it's not confidence or strategy. It's whether you've cultivated enough inner stillness to be present with another person's rawness without reacting to it. A man who can hold a woman without asking her to be smaller than she is emotionally, mentally, or physically becomes unforgettable. Not because of what he says, but because of how deeply he listens without words. Because his presence makes her feel like she doesn't need to shrink or shift or adjust herself to be acceptable. That kind of man is rare, not because it's impossible to become one, but because most are too afraid to undo the conditioning that tells them they must always perform, always pursue, always prove. What makes a hug meaningful isn't the strength of your arms, it's the strength of your presence. If you are still performing, trying to win her approval, trying to avoid rejection, you're not holding her. You're holding your image of who you think she wants. And she knows the difference. She always does. If she leans into you, even slightly, it means more than you think. Her body is offering something before her words ever will. She doesn't lean because she's fragile. She leans because for a moment, she believes you might be able to hold what no one else has. That belief is temporary, conditional, and easily lost if your attention breaks. She won't tell you what she needs in that moment, not because she's hiding something, but because she's watching whether you know how to sense what isn't spoken. If you're the kind of man who only responds to what's obvious, you'll never be close to her truth. Her truth lives in the subtle shift of her weight, the pause in her breathing, the way her hands either rest or hold back. You won't understand any of this if you're waiting for permission to care. Emotional maturity isn't about reading signals to get a result. It's about developing the internal stillness to notice what others have learned to conceal. Not to manipulate it, man, but to meet it with clarity. There are parts of her that were never nurtured, not because she wasn't worthy of care, but because she learned early that care often came with a price. Many women associate closeness with a consequence. Affection leads to expectation. Vulnerability is followed by disappointment. So when she's in your arms, she's remembering all of that, even if she's smiling. She may never mention the things that shape her instinct to retreat. She doesn't need to. Her posture, her silence, her gaze, they already tell you everything. If you're able to observe without interpreting everything as rejection. Some men take her hesitation personally. The wiser ones understand it as the residue of every moment she had to protect herself alone. If your ego is involved, you'll rush her. You'll try to reassure her before you've even earned her trust. You'll try to impress her with affection that feels more like a performance than a response. That kind of affection exhausts her. It reminds her of all the men who wanted closeness but couldn't handle the weight of it. When you make space for her to feel what she's actually feeling, without commentary or direction, something rare happens. She stops performing. She stops translating her emotions into something more comfortable for you. And when she no longer has to manage your discomfort, she begins to reveal the depth of who she really is. You won't always know what to do with what she reveals. That's not your role. Your role isn't to solve her past or explain her reactions. It's to make sure you aren't confusing proximity with presence. One is common, the other requires integrity. Presence means you don't withdraw when her voice falters. You don't rush when her stillness stretches longer than expected. You don't shift away when her softness turns into silence. You stay, not to prove anything, but because you've come to understand that trust grows slowly, and the moments where she hesitates are not threats. They're openings. When she hugs you with her whole body, when she lets herself breathe deeper in your arms, you've reached something most never will. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you didn't retreat when things got real. You didn't need to explain the moment. You didn't try to decode it. You respected the simplicity of what it meant. The moments that change us never arrive with clarity. They come quietly, in the space between two people who are not trying to be more than they are. If you're only chasing the feeling of being desired, you'll miss what she actually offers. What she offers isn't just warmth, it's honesty. And that comes with conditions. She doesn't open because you say the right things. She opens when your consistency matches your presence. When the man who holds her is the same man when no one's watching. That's what builds trust, not big gestures, but the absence of contradiction. You can be gentle and still be strong. You can be intentional without needing control. What matters is whether your energy invites her guard to rest. She doesn't want to be convinced. She wants to be met. Not on the surface, but at the level where her emotional life lives unpolished, uncertain, unscripted. The men who reach her are not the ones who decode her behaviors. They're the ones who have stopped trying to be anything other than sincere. They listen even when they don't fully understand. They stay grounded even when she doesn't offer immediate validation. They know that trust is not built in the moments when everything is easy, but in the moments when it isn't. If you view her hesitation as a wall, you'll press against it and push her further away. But if you recognize that hesitation as a door, you'll wait, not with passivity, but with patience. There is a difference. Patience is not about doing nothing. It's about being prepared to respond when she chooses to step through on her own. The way you hold her matters most when you're not getting anything in return, because that's when your true self is exposed. That's when it becomes clear whether you came to take or came to witness. That's when she knows if your affection is anchored or reactive. You can't hide who you are in silence, in stillness. Your truth surfaces, and so does hers. Most people touch without awareness. They pursue connection without examining the fears that drive them. You become someone different when you begin to see touch, not as access, but as responsibility. When you see closeness not as achievement, but as a mirror. Every time you hold a woman, something is being reflected back to you. Sometimes it's what she feels. Sometimes it's what you avoid. And often, it's what neither of you expected to confront. That confrontation isn't always dramatic, but it is revealing. If your presence is built on truth, you'll handle what comes up. If it's built on performance, you'll retreat when her emotional reality doesn't match your expectations. That is why so many relationships unravel slowly, not through betrayal, but through subtle emotional inconsistency. A woman will give you signs long before she gives you distance. She will begin to withhold not out of punishment, but because her body has concluded that it's not safe to be known. If you want to know what a woman really feels when you hug her, you have to become aware of what you're truly offering, not your words, not your identity, but your inner state. If there's conflict inside you, if your intentions are split, she will feel the distortion. That feeling, the subtle unease, the tension beneath the surface is what makes her body resist closeness. You might not notice it. You might even interpret it as indifference. But deep down, it's her way of preserving herself from a kind of pain she's felt before. When she pulls away, it's often not because she's done with you, It's because she's tired of abandoning herself. She's tired of being touched in ways that feel like permission instead of presence. And if you don't know the difference, she'll eventually stop giving you access to any part of her. You can't fake the kind of presence she longs for. You can only build it from the inside out. That takes time, that takes silence, that takes the humility to confront your need to be liked, desired, or seen as strong. And it takes the courage to replace that need with clarity. When a woman trusts the man she hugs, she doesn't have to explain herself. She doesn't feel the pressure to edit her emotions. Her guard dissolves without instruction, not because you earned it through charm, but because your presence gave her permission to be whole. You will never know the exact moment that change occurs. It doesn't happen like a movie scene. It happens in a breath, in the pause after she exhales, in the way she lingers without asking why. That's when she knows something real is happening. That's when she lets you into the parts of her that rarely feel seen. And if you've done the work, not on her, but on yourself, you will recognize the significance of that moment and meet it with the respect it deserves. Because in the end, what she feels when you hug her will always be a reflection of who you are when no one's watching. If this spoke to something buried deep in you, something you felt but never put into words, then don't just walk away. Stay. This channel exists for people who are done with surface-level advice, who crave a deeper understanding of love, of presence, of what it means to connect without losing yourself. Subscribe if you're ready for more than tactics and techniques. Here, we unlearn the noise and return to the truth, like the video if it stirred something real in you, and share it with someone who needs to hear what closeness actually means. This isn't just content. It's a mirror, a reminder, a call back to emotional clarity. You're not alone in this work, and you never have to be.